A very good evening and a warm welcome to GBS News 9. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Tonight we are having a conversation you don't want to miss on matters of education, precisely learning amidst floods. But first, let us start off with stories making headlines.
And that means the strike that began on 13th of March 2024 has been called off.
It is a deal. Doctors call off 2 months long strike in a KMPDU government deal.
All schools will be opened on Monday next week.
Prepare for school's second term opening Monday 13th, President William Ruto announces.
As we look at cross-border transactions, I also want to say that data protection authorities are very critical.
Reducing the cost of doing business across border. Kenya is finalizing on procedures before rolling out the digital identity card, also known as the Maisha card. Borussia Dortmund in the finals after eliminating PSG on 2-0 goal aggregate. The Kenya Medical Practitioners Pharmacist Dentist Union has signed the Return to Work Formula Agreement. The Ministry of Health in a statement said the move ends the nationwide doctor strike. Speaking after signing the Return to Work Agreement, KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela confirmed that the doctor strike is indeed called off. Atela said that they could not agree on the issue of posting interns because the union wanted the doctor interns posted immediately by the CBA, yet the government wanted them to wait for the court litigation before the agreement. He assured doctors that the union will always endeavor to protect the rights of the work enshrined in the CBA. On Tuesday, doctors said they were ready to comply with the court orders to agree with the state on return to work formula within 48 hours. The union had previously said it would not honor court orders that suspended the strike on the 13th of March, accusing the government of disobeying orders. Doctors have been on strike since March 14th, paralyzing service provision across all public health facilities. They are demanding full implementation of their collective bargaining agreement signed in 2017. They listed a total of 19 issues they wanted resolved, top among them posting of medical interns on a 206,000 Kenya shillings monthly salary. Of the 19 issues doctors raised, 6 relate to counties, 9 to the national government, and 4 to both levels of government.
And that means the strike that began on 13th of March 2024 has been called off. The government has insisted to us that there are different government and there are different persons in office, that we need to believe in them, that they are not conmen. And therefore, we have decided that despite having said and stated that we do not go home with promissory notes, we have decided to take the promise for the last time. But as we take this, I must say that one of the fundamental issues, that is the matter of doctor interns, is still pending. This matter was filed in court in Eldoret. This matter has been part of the conversations. And we could not come to a particular agreement because the union was for the opinion that the doctor intern must be posted immediately as per the CBA, while the government was for the opinion that we have to await for the court litigation that is ongoing in Eldoret before we come to an agreement. But there we have a joint caveat that as that is going on, all the doctor interns, that is the medical officer interns, the pharmacist interns, and the dentist interns will have to wait a little bit longer.
It is easy to put a signature on the paper. It is easy for KMPDU to just pick the mic and say we have called off a strike. But the real work begins now. The implementation of what we have agreed upon is the beginning of the journey to make sure that we never have any more of this and call for disagreements that lead to strike. For the beginning, we have their need for the health for people of Kenya because of the floods. Cholera has just struck in some parts of the country, and therefore what the KMPDU SG has said that the doctors can go back within 24 hours.
We will be continuing with the process of dialogue and negotiation with the other outstanding institutions that we haven't yet settled, because the commitment of the Council of Governors is to ensure that we're providing seamless service delivery to the people that elected us.
I also call upon the unions and their representatives to be mindful of the need to strengthen the employee-employer relationship to build mutually trust that will resolve future conflicts for the benefit of wananchi. We have agreed that we are going to establish a presidential task force to look into the perennial issues that affect the health sector. Finally, now that we have a return to work formula, my friends, let us go back to work. All the names that you called me, I want to wash them away today. And should we as a ministry have erred in any way, today marks a new beginning. I want to urge all of us for now to focus on service delivery and make your rightful contribution to realization of UHC.
Religious leaders in Siaya County are calling on parties involved in the negotiations aimed at finding a solution to the ongoing doctor strike not to be too rigid in their demands. Led by the retired Anglican Diocese of Maseno West Bishop, Right Reverend Joseph Otieno Wasonga, the clergyman said flexibility among both doctors and government officials, led by the Ministry of Health, will help a great deal and enable public health sector to stand again. They lamented that the strike has significantly impacted on healthcare services, leading to the deaths that would have been avoided as both parties stopped taking the hardline positions. In a statement read on the behalf of Bishop Wasonga, the religious leader said it was high time an amicable solution was found to the impasse that has seen doctors down their tools for close to 2 months now. Meanwhile, the clerics have commended the government efforts in handling the emergency situation occasioned by floods. They called on Kenyans and well-wishers to join hands in helping those affected, adding that this is not a period of blaming each other. The religious leaders called for patience among Kenyans as government grapples with the situation, which saw the postponement of school opening dates indefinitely.
We are gathered here under the auspices of the Tikva Center, whose director is Evans Onyango here, and the Omnia Institute for Contextual Leadership, and the president is here with us. He is Reverend Dr. Shanta from Chicago, USA, and also the Bishop Wasonga Foundation for Empowerment. This is where we are today. We are gathered together here to explore collective efforts towards peace, development, and community flourishing. That's why we have people from different faiths. We have Muslims, we have Christians of all brands, and intensity of floods, and the floods are creating havoc, killing many people, displacing many people, and we do recognize the government's effort at healthcare services, and tragically led to avoidable deaths. Many people have died because they cannot.
The government has declared a public holiday to commemorate National Tree Growing Day and to honor those who have lost their lives due to floods. This decision was made official through a Gazette notice issued for this purpose. Addressing the nation at State House, Nairobi on Wednesday, President William Ruto announced that this day will not only mark the commencement of a significant tree planting initiative to combat climate change, but also serve as a moment to remember those affected by the devastating floods. Here are the details.
The government has declared Friday, May 10th, as a public holiday to mark the National Tree Growing Day and to remember Kenyans who have died from floods. This came through a Gazette notice issued to this effect. Speaking at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto said that the day has been set aside and will mark the start of a major tree planting program to mitigate climate change.
Kila Mkenya Ijumaa ijayo, tukikumbuka matatizo ambayo tumepata, hata maisha ambayo yamepotea, kwa heshima hiyo na kwa sababu tunajua suluhu kamili ya matatizo haya ya climate change ni kushughulikia mambo ya mazingira. Tuweze kupanda miti, tuweze kushirikiana, serikali nzima Ijumaa hii tarehe 10, sote kama Wakenya tutaungana, tupande miti na tujue ya kwamba suluhu kamili ya matatizo ya kiangazi na mafuriko ni kushughulikia mambo yetu ya mazingira.
According to the Ministry of Interior, the death toll from the ongoing floods has risen to 257, with 75 individuals still missing. The government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura revealed that in the past 24 hours alone, 8 more fatalities have been reported, with 188 individuals injured. Last November, the government surprised the nation by establishing a new national holiday dedicated to tree planting, with its ambitious goal of planting 15 billion trees within a decade. A total of 44 cholera cases have also been reported so far, with the Ministry of Health and the Kenya Red Cross conducting medical outreach programs as well as cholera control and other waterborne diseases in Tana River and Marsabit counties.
And we have spoken to the people. We have really emphasized on clean water. We have emphasized on washing of hands, as basic as washing of hands, and especially here where I have seen tens of children. Very many children are in this camp, and we have equally emphasized on immunization of the same, because we need to have the children keep to their immunization schedules so that after this we do not have some having diseases like polio. Maybe most of them are below 5 years, so they are around that age where they need to keep to their immunization schedules.
Kwa sehemu ya water safety, sisi kama county government tumeweka our teams ready and we have enhanced our water surveillance activities. Tunataka kuhakikisha kuwa maji yote watu wetu wanakunywa ni maji safi, yamepimwa, na tunataka kushukuru even PS Kenya kwa ile water guard wametupea na zile vitu zote za kusafisha maji, kuhakikisha maji yetu yako salama. But kama serikali ya county na serikali ya kitaifa, we have enhanced our water surveillance activities. Tunataka kuhakikisha kuwa maji iko Nairobi iko safi kwa sasa, na tutahakikisha kureport in case kuna challenge yoyote.
Susan Nganga, GBS News.
President William Ruto announced that all schools will reopen on Monday, May 13th. The president made the announcement at State House, Nairobi on Wednesday. This comes days after Ruto postponed schools reopening until further notice following floods that ravaged the country. Here are the details. All schools will reopen on Monday, May 13th, following a positive advisory from the Kenya Meteorological Department. President William Ruto announced on Wednesday while meeting leaders from Kajiado County at State House, Nairobi. The president has also tasked members of parliament to ensure the provision of resources through the NGCDF to repair the damaged school infrastructure.
All parents are advised on the assessment of weathermen and on the assessment of the government of Kenya. It will now be safe, and we have made adequate arrangements. We have asked members of parliament, and we have provided resources through the NGCDF for repair of classrooms and other facilities, learning facilities across Kenya, and therefore all schools will be opened on Monday next week, and therefore parents must prepare their children to go to school.
President Ruto had on Friday directed the Ministry of Education to postpone reopening of all schools following a warning by the Meteorological Department that indicated that the flooding is likely to worsen with the ongoing rains. The schools were initially set to reopen on the 29th of April. Meanwhile, Smart Brains Kenya, through a corporate social responsibility initiative, has reiterated its dedication to ensuring that students can continue their learning from the safety of their homes online until the school reopening by supplying laptops. This Tuesday, the team undertook a corporate social responsibility effort at Kinderstart School, distributing over 200 laptops to students.
And our mission today is to help schools like Kinderstart to be able to continue with education in the midst of these floods. What we are doing is we are giving every family a laptop, and also the teachers also getting laptops so that they can be able to continue to teach from online from the comfort of their homes.
Smart Brains Kenya is a Kenyan kids coding academy driven by the belief that learners deserve an opportunity to learn to code and are committed to providing experienced coding tutors, laptops with internet access for each child, robotic kits, a proven curriculum, and access to the curriculum on any device via their online platform.
Kinderstart is back in partnership with Smart Brains Kenya, and
Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in our news segment tonight. But first, let us take a quick break. We'll be right back with even more.
Hello everyone! Welcome to Fun Story Class. Friend, today I'm going to read the story of the ant and the grasshopper. Friend, this is a very interesting story, so listen carefully. The ant and grasshopper were good friends. The grasshopper was enjoying the fine weather, playing all day. He asked the ant for food, and ant gave him some. But my food is just enough for my family to last until the end of winter. If I give you more, we too will starve.
What exactly is that when you hear prostate cancer?
So there's an organ called the prostate that is part of the male reproductive system. The organ actually responds to testosterone. Mm-hmm. So the more it is exposed to it, the more it continues to grow. Mm-hmm.
Does the enlargement eventually lead to, and even before that, what is the difference?
When the growth is a lot, there's likely to be errors. And when there are errors, that's when cancer occurs.
So are you able to tell that there is a change?
You said prostate cancer, one of the symptoms is erectile dysfunction.
Do they continue living their sexual life comfortably?
So prostate cancer is not a death sentence. For majority of people who are caught early, they're able to live life to the fullest.
Are you able to infect your spouse with this? What exactly is that when you hear prostate cancer?
So there's an organ called the prostate that is part of the male reproductive system. The organ actually responds to testosterone. So the more it is exposed to it, the more it continues to grow.
Does the enlargement eventually lead to, And even before that, what is the difference?
When the growth is a lot, there's likely to be errors, okay? And when there are errors, that's when cancer occurs.
So are you able to tell that there is a change?
We said prostate cancer, one of the symptoms is erectile dysfunction.
Do they continue living their sexual life comfortably?
So prostate cancer is not a death sentence. For majority of people who are caught early, they're able to live life to the fullest.
Are you able to infect your spouse with this?
Hello everyone! Welcome to Fun Story Class. Friend, today I'm going to read the story of the ant and the grasshopper. Friend, this is a very interesting story, so listen carefully. The ant and grasshopper were good friends. The grasshopper was enjoying the fine weather, playing all day. He asked the ant for food, and ant gave him some. But my food is just enough for my family to last until the end of winter. If I give you more, we too will starve.
What exactly is that when you hear prostate cancer?
So there's an organ called the prostate that is part of the male reproductive system. The organ actually responds to
testosterone.
So the more it is exposed to it, the more it continues to grow.
Does the enlargement eventually lead to, and even before that, what is the difference?
When the growth is a lot, there's likely to be errors, okay? And when there are errors, that's when cancer occurs.
So are you able to tell that there is a change?
We said prostate cancer, one of the symptoms is erectile dysfunction.
Do they continue living their sexual life comfortably?
So prostate cancer is not a death sentence. For majority of people who are caught early, they're able to live life to the fullest.
Are you able to infect your spouse with this?
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Our big conversation begins right now. We will be talking matters of education, precisely learning amidst floods. Amidst ongoing floods wreaking havoc across the nation, Smart Brains Kenya has launched a remarkable corporate social responsibility program called One Family, One Laptop. This initiative aims to bridge the educational gap caused by natural disaster by providing 1,000 laptops free of charge to families through nominated schools. Joining me to have this conversation is Mr. Lemuel Kinyansui, founder and chief executive officer, Smart Brains Kenya. Keep your comments and questions coming in on the same. The SMS line is 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Good evening, Mr. Lemuel, and thank you for joining the broadcast.
Good evening. Thank you.
And maybe to just kick off this conversation, you can tell us what is Smart Brains Kenya and what is its vision?
Okay. So first of all, my name is Lemuel Kinyanzi, and I am the founder and CEO of Smart Brains Kenya. Smart Brains is a company that started with a vision and a belief that the Kenyan learner deserves an opportunity to learn how to code. Why? So that they have the relevant 21st century skills that will enable them to be competitive in the world of today. Yeah, our vision is to help Kenyan learners, every child in Kenyan schools, to be able to have these relevant skills and opportunity to learn how to code. Yeah.
And maybe for someone who is watching out there, we're talking about coding, for someone who literally has no idea, what is this coding and what is this robotic education and why is it relevant?
Coding is simply the writing of instructions that machines understand. When you press a phone, it responds to you because it's actually been coded and told, if this button is pressed, maybe display this number. So simply coding is writing instructions that machines or electronics understand. Robotics, on the other side, is the making of machines that make work easier. For instance, here is a robot. There's a computer that I've coded, and I've connected it to a carton on above the dustbin, and it senses if I put something, it senses that I need to put something in the dustbin. So if I put an object, it's able to open the dustbin, and then if I put it away, it's able to close. So this is a form of robotics. It's making machines that make our life easier as human beings.
I think that is very clear. And I want us to talk about the CSR that you launched on Tuesday.
Yes.
Now, we have this CSR coming in the terms where we have floods, where we have the catastrophe facing the nation. Perhaps what brought about the decision to come up with this CSR?
As SmartBrains, we have a very unique culture. We proudly say that our company is a company for humans. What I mean by that is we like to care, right, not only about our clients, but also our staff. And we were thinking, what could we do to help the community? And so we felt we have a lot of laptops, thanks to the MasterCard Foundation, who have been able to have a partnership with us. We had a lot of laptops that were not being used because schools have not opened and they were closed. And so we felt, why not give these laptops to schools who can, give them to parents and maybe to families, and also they can give them to teachers. And then our learners or our children from home can connect with the teachers through internet, and they can continue to learn, the conventional things that they learn, mathematics, English, Swahili, just the normal curriculum, despite the floods. So our CSR was to help schools so that there's continuity of education in the midst of floods.
Now, you had the CSR on Tuesday when the president had not yet given the directive when the schools are going to be reopened again. But
Correct.
Today he did talk about when the schools are going to be reopened. That is on Monday. Perhaps now that they are set to open, how do you believe access to laptops will effectively benefit the learners who are affected by these floods?
So quite interestingly, we still have requests of schools, and schools actually picking laptops from us. There are others who will be picking tomorrow. Some are saying that just in case the floods continue and maybe there's another announcement, they will still have something to use. However, even if then the floods subside, and that is what we are praying for, the laptops still form an important role in the education of the child. For instance, in the provision of coding lessons and robotics lessons, because you may not teach a child computer science, which is a very, very basic skill that is needed in today's century. You may not be able to do those things without a laptop. So the laptops, that's why we provide them to schools during the other time, so that our learners are able to interact with digital devices and learn how technology works by learning computer science. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the CSR, you can take us through how these schools were selected and how the laptops were given, because I did happen to attend the launch and I saw the parents were signing something and they are going with the laptops and they're going to come back with the laptops, the safety and everything. Take us through that process and how it's
and many registered. However, there are schools that we could not be able to reach because it was a free CSR. We would not be able to take schools far much to the urban area, to the rural areas, of course, because of costs. So the criteria we used was schools that had close to us, proximity to Nairobi, and also that had real need. So we would, ask them if we would give them the laptops, would their parents be able to provide internet for their students? Were they willing? Those are some of the issues that we are using to qualify a school. About what you saw them signing was that a gentleman's agreement between us and the school, saying that they will use the laptops in the best way they can, and they will do their best to make sure that they come back to us in good shape as we give them out. Yeah.
And looking at the initiative coming in times of floods, this is the first launch. Are there any plans to continue with the one family, one laptop program? Maybe perhaps if you feature crisis, is there plans to move forward with the initiative?
I think this CSR has opened our eyes to many more possibilities. Today I was in a school that was interested in having the laptops, and we will actually be donating to them 30 laptops. It's a school in Huruma called Furaha, where they don't even have access to teachers. So it has shown us that there's a need for us to look for a way to not only give laptops and have them brought back to us, but have a way that certain schools, they call them upbeat schools, the schools in informal areas where parents may not be able to afford, or the school may not afford to buy laptops. And there are many schools like those. So our eyes have been opened to look for ways that we can support such schools by giving them laptops, and then maybe we can even train their teachers, and they can have a sustainable way of teaching computer science lessons in their schools. Yeah.
And how do you envision the impact of this program in promoting online learning and digital literacy?
We already have very good feedback from parents that I'm very proud that we were able to come up with this solution. There is already impact because there are students who have already covered lessons as of today because of this provision of laptops. Our vision then is to continue to champion the provision of coding education, especially as a basic skill in schools. I know the government has goodwill because they've already launched coding as a unit in several grades of the schools, like grade 4, 5, 6, and we hope that in future it will be enrolled in all the classes and be acknowledged as a subject just like any other, because coding is really a language. So if we can be able to teach our kids to learn how to code and write languages just the same way they write Swahili and English, we would have a lot of opportunities that we will be unlocked in the near future.
And maybe moving a little bit further from CSR to now the Smart Brains Kenya, perhaps you can tell us how it is making this learning accessible. Are you coming in with the teachers in terms of internet, because you have schools that do not have internet, do not have electricity? Take us through a day of teaching in terms of the program.
When we started Smart Brains, we did take a lot of time to look at the problems that were hindering schools from providing computer lessons. And we realized, computer science lessons, and we realized there were 3 problems. Number 1 is a lack of truly well-trained coding teachers. And I don't mean teachers who just teach computer, but teachers who understand computer science. That's a huge problem that we still have. The second problem that we saw that was there was the lack of devices. How can you teach a child English without a book? You can't. The same way you cannot teach computers or computer science without computers. And the third problem was the lack of a truly custom Kenyan curriculum that is relatable to the Kenyan child. So what we did is we've looked for solutions. And the solutions we provide, to answer your question, is that when we go into a partnership with a school, we give them continuously well-trained tutors. So we don't just give you a teacher, but a teacher who is continuously improved, both in the teaching of the content and also in the methodology. Number 2 is we constantly provide the laptops and the robot kits so that the kids are able to learn practically without the need of sharing. So in our schools, every student gets a laptop. There's absolutely no sharing, and also gets a robot kit. And the other thing is now we give them a curriculum, but packaged in a platform that is able to track individual students' progress and is able to report to the parent and to the school on their progress. Yeah.
And when you were speaking about that, I did remember what was happening in our time. We used to receive, maybe some schools come with hand wash, how to wash your hands. I don't want to mention the brands. And now looking at the effectiveness and sustainability, perhaps just take us through a more detailed aspect of how it happens. Is thrice a week, 2 times a week? How does the curriculum look like?
So the curriculum has been structured to be purely practical. There's very little theory, if there's any. We deliver our lessons once a week. Ideally, a term, which a normal term, a Kenyan school term would go between 10 to 14 weeks. But because of midterms, it goes down for us to around 7 to 10 weeks. So we have structured our curriculum such that the children are able to achieve the objective set between 7 to 10 weeks, depending on the length of the term. Of course, there are things that we do to improve the quality. The issue of every child having a laptop makes it easier for them to be able to learn much within a short time. And we also provide internet. So when we come in, we are a full turnkey solution. We provide the teacher, the laptop, the internet, the robotics kits, and the curriculum, and a way for each parent to know how is my child doing. And a school can actually go on the platform and see how is this child doing. Maybe they're having challenges on a certain topic. And because of technology, we are able to drill down to the specific child on their challenges and how we can be able to help them.
And now you did talk about tracing the progress of the child, and something that you have mentioned there. And you have also mentioned that the classes are practical, all of them.
Yes.
Now, are there some specific progress that the students have made or success stories that you can give and tell us some of those success stories by your students?
So currently, I would probably say we teach over 15,000 students to code every single week by taking our teachers to those schools. We have so much impact. We have learners like Andrew Mwangi, who was able to make a website in a certain competition, and he was able to do it in under 8 minutes. It's actually on YouTube. But literally, all of our students have made projects that are able to solve certain problems. One of the famous projects that kids make is a website for their parents' businesses. So, but we've had students like Andrew Mwangi, who is now learning a language called React. React is the language that we use when we are using Facebook. It's the language that was used to create Facebook. We've also had some students who are now, I may not be able to talk much about that, but they are now in the process of registering a legal company, and they have funding. So because of certain legal issues, I may not be able to disclose what their solution is, but it is in climate change, and they have made an app that they are going to partner with one of the local energy providers.
And now looking at the dustbin that is before us, we have a dustbin that is a sensor dustbin.
Yes.
Are you confidently able to say that all your students can be able to make such type?
Not all our students can be able to do this. These are projects that we have many courses, but this is one of the robotics courses where we teach our children the robotics concepts, and then we task them to look for a solution, to look for a problem that we have in the society, and get local materials to solve those problems. Like this one, we've used cartons, and these are normal circuits that can be found around in Kenya, and kids are able to make their solutions. So there are those who make these dustbins. I've seen kids making a blind stick, one that can be used by an old person or maybe a person who is blind, and then if it sees an object, it's able to make a buzzer, a sound, and the person knows there's an object. So our teaching is practical, and it helps students to solve problems using locally available materials. Yeah.
I know you have mentioned that your service is free for the school, and of course bringing in the teachers and everything. Are there ways that you collaborate, maybe with other organizations, with the community, with the government? How do they come in to make sure that you have an outreach?
We would not be able to do this if it's not for partnerships. The CSR was exclusively, it was free, but for schools, we charge a very subsidized amount, really just to make it sustainable. So there are foundations like the MasterCard Foundation have been able to go into a partnership with us so that we are able to reduce much of the costs that would make the coding cost to be very expensive. So for them, they provide for funding, and we are able to buy materials like laptops and robotics kits. And really what schools pay is just for us to be able to take the teacher, pay the teacher, and be able maybe to get some learning materials. Yeah, so we do have partners that we partner with who enable the program to be greatly subsidized in cost.
And when it comes to coding and, of course, teaching the Kenyan people about coding, we know coding is also not very, very famous here in the country. Perhaps what are some of the challenges that you have encountered in your line of work?
I think before, when we were starting, there was, people didn't understand, and schools didn't understand what really coding is. But COVID, as much as it brought some challenges, it also made parents to appreciate technology, because while at home, they had no other way but to use technology. The challenges we could do to a child, but at the moment, those challenges have greatly passed. The challenges we have now is of getting the materials to be able to teach, because many schools are now requesting to join, and that puts a strain on the resources, because you see, for us, you have to give every child a laptop. So specifically, challenges could be in the resources, of providing the resources in such a way that every child gets a laptop and the robot kits.
And of course, there's a lot to talk about in terms of Smart Brains Kenya, but time is sadly not on our side. Yeah. Maybe as you give your parting shot, maybe in 2 minutes, you can tell a school that is trying to find an organization like you, an initiative like yours, and they want to have the same things happen, an individual, where can they find you as you give your parting shot?
So coding lessons are very important, not only because they teach a child computer science, but because they also teach them how to think. And if you would like your school to have access to this kind of education, they can simply reach out to us through our website, which is www.smartbrainskenya.com or on any of our social handles. We will reach out to them and give them a free coding class, and they can make a decision after that. But thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much for making time, and of course, thank you very much. To make sure you keep your comments coming in, the SMS line is 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Moving on, the 11-member committee meant to hear the impeachment hearing of the Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi has commenced its sitting in the County Hall today. The committee, which is chaired by Naomi Wako, has formed by the National Assembly to listen to the allegations on fake fertilizer scandal that is surrounding the Ministry of Agriculture. Our very own Davis Karani has more details on the same.
The Parliamentary Select Committee of 11 members has commenced its hearing on the impeachment motion that was moved by Jack Wamboka in the National Assembly, meant to impeach the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, due to the fake fertilizer scandal, which was sold to farmers through the National Cereals and Produce Board.
The Honorable Mithika Linturi, on this case of fertilizer, he gave the Kenyan public information over the same subject, 4 versions. Initially, there was no fertilizer. There is no fake fertilizer. Initially, there's only 3,000 bad fertilizer on the market. But the minister went ahead to even tell Kenyans about soil moisturizer.
The committee sitting at one point faced a heated and tough exchange of words between the mover of the motion, Jack Wamboka, and the accused Cabinet Secretary's lawyer, Muthomi Thiankolu, who came hard on Wamboka on accusations to the CS.
In the advert, you see a requisition for fake fertilizer.
We are here because of fake fertilizer.
Fair, but the question is there anywhere on that tender advert you see a request for fake fertilizer?
I have not said anywhere that the minister or the government requested for fake fertilizer. They requested for proper fertilizer, but then fraudsters decided to bring fake fertilizers.
Are you trying to run away from your own motion because it says not once, twice, or thrice, but 10 times?
The committee is expected to come out with findings which will be submitted to the National Assembly that will officially make the final decision on either to impeach the CS or dismiss his impeachment, basing on the 11-member committee finding on the fake fertilizer probe. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
As Kenya is finalizing on its tail-end procedures before rolling out the digital identity card, also known as Maisha Card, the Immigration and Citizen Services Principal Secretary Julius Bitok has noted that cross-border transaction, which is one of the benefits of the digital ID, will reduce the cost of doing business between countries. According to the Principal Secretary, the government is banking on the new digital ID and it's supporting the ecosystem to provide a registration regime that is more secure from forgery and identity theft. Here is more on this thing.
The Immigration and Citizen Services Principal Secretary Julius Bitok has today revealed that the government will conclude the issuance of Maisha cards in the next 2 years. According to PS Bitok, the government is halfway through the process and exuded confidence that the rollout will run smoothly as planned.
Having a very secure digital ID is so critical to every country. It's so critical to Kenya, it's so critical to every country. And I want to assure the country that we have a very robust system that is helping us manage this digital infrastructure. And we are working very closely with the Ministry of ICT, the National Treasury, to ensure that this system is safe and it is part of the critical infrastructure that is needed to be able to provide these services as required.
Due to its interoperability, PS Bitok notes that the rollout of the Maisha Digital ID will ease cross-border transactions, which will in turn ease the cost of doing business between Kenya and other countries.
You can be, for example, in Uganda, and you want to enjoy some service in Kenya. You want to pay for some service in Kenya. It is very important to know that the opportunities created by digital ID and the entire digitization is critical to ensuring that we reduce the costs of, you no longer need to travel to Uganda to enjoy some services. You can be able to pay somebody in Uganda using M-Pesa. You can be able to transact this way using M-Pesa. And this provides a good opportunity for African countries, which for a long time have had a challenge in terms of the cost of doing business across borders. There are many barriers created by borders, but African nations now have an opportunity to be able to work more closely together to ensure that we leverage on technology to ensure that our citizens across the borders are able to enjoy these services.
While digitalizing citizens' personal information can enhance efficiency and service delivery, it must be done to uphold fairness and legality. From the perspective of the right to information in the Kenyan context, ensuring transparency, obtaining informed consent, implementing robust security measures, adhering to purpose limitations, and establishing accountability mechanisms are essential. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
The Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit kicked off on Tuesday in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, with senior officials renewing a call for eco-friendly regeneration of farmlands to boost food and nutrition security in the continent. More than 1,500 delegates, including agriculture ministers, representatives of regional blocs, donor agencies, the private sector, academia, and civil society, are attending the three-day gathering under the theme of Listen to the Land. Kenyan Prime Cabinet Secretary and Minister for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, said the summit offers an opportunity to discuss innovative ways to reverse loss of soil nutrients and has escalated the continent's hunger crisis. Convened by the African Union, the Kenyan government, and the multilateral partners, the 2024 Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit is expected to culminate in the adoption of a communique on the rejuvenation of the continent's arable land. AU Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment, Joseph Asako, said the continent is ripe for an agrarian revolution subjected to political goodwill, innovative financing, and adoption of the novel innovations to boost soil health.
Yesterday, we had very rich and extensive deliberations by our ministers of agriculture. Today's joint deliberation by the esteemed ministers of foreign affairs and as well as ministers of agriculture of the African Union member state is to continue the rich deliberation which will guide us to come up with a summit declaration.
This system will improve agricultural productivity, economic growth, sustainable livelihoods, water availability, and sustainable natural resources-based and adoption and mitigation of the climate change. The 10-year action plan will contribute to revising soil degradation, increasing fertilizer consumption and efficiency, accelerating inclusive agricultural transformation, and enduring hunger, malnutrition, and poverty on the continent of Africa.
Prices to cushion them against high costs of fertilizer. It is my conviction, therefore, that all the AU member states are embarking on implementing various strategies to address the challenges of sustainable food production and hence the importance of addressing usage of fertilizer and soil health.
And now to matters international news, let's check on the ongoing crisis in East Africa, where heavy rains and flash floods continue to wreak havoc on communities, including refugees. The UN Refugee Agency reported that thousands of people, including refugees, are affected, while in Burundi, approximately 32,000 refugees are currently living in flood-affected areas, with 500 requiring urgent assistance. Officials visited the capital, Bujumbura, to assess the situation firsthand, as families, including the elderly, had been forced to relocate multiple times, facing challenges in accessing food and basic necessities due to the high transport cost, including canoe fees to reach markets and amenities. The neighbors in Kenya, nearly 20,000 people in the Dadaab refugee camps have been displaced, many having fled severe drought in Somalia in recent years. over 2,600 individuals are seeking shelter in schools that have been extensively damaged with the collapse of latrines, posing a risk of waterborne diseases.
Heavy rains, which have caused serious flooding across all the camps. Over 20,000 refugees have been displaced, many of whom are currently seeking shelter inside the schools. UNHCR and partners, including the county government, are coordinating the distribution of critical core relief items such as sleeping mats, blankets, mosquito nets, soap, and water purifiers to those most in need.
The United Nations World Food Programme issued a dire warning stating that time was running out to prevent starvation in Darfur. Intensifying clashes in the capital city of North Darfur, El Fasher has been a major impediment to crucial efforts meant to deliver vital food assistance to the region.
So today, the United Nations World Food Programme is warning that time is running out to prevent starvation in Darfur, as intensifying clashes in North Darfur's capital, El Fasher, are hindering our efforts to deliver vital food assistance into the region. This latest escalation of violence around El Fasher has halted aid convoys coming from Chad's Tina border crossing, which has recently been opened as a humanitarian corridor that passes through North Darfur's capital. Meanwhile, restrictions from authorities in Port Sudan are preventing WFP from transporting assistance via Adre, the only other viable cross-border corridor from Chad. The route can serve West Darfur and other locations in Central, South, and East Darfur. These access constraints are jeopardizing our plans to provide vital assistance to over 700,000 people ahead of the rainy season.
Do keep your comments coming in on the Central SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And now for sports lovers, it is time for your most anticipated part of the news, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Borussia Dortmund produced a find-away performance to beat Paris Saint-Germain and reach their first Champions League since 2013. Borussia Dortmund are one game away from becoming European champions for the second time in their history. Borussia Dortmund will face the winner between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich in the Champions League final. The final will be at Wembley on Saturday, the 1st of June. Here is more on the same.
Edin Tazic's side produced a superb team performance to beat Paris Saint-Germain 1-0 in Tuesday's semi-final second leg to complete a 2-0 aggregate victory. Borussia Dortmund held a 1-0 advantage following the first leg of the semi-final and doubled their lead when Mats Hummels was left unmarked 5 yards out to head in from Julian Brandt's left wing corner. That goal came just after PSG's Warren Zaïre-Emery wasted a glorious chance as he volleyed against the post from close range early in the second half. PSG hit the post bars 4 times in the second half, but despite sustained late pressure, with Mbappe having a shot saved and Marquinhos heading narrowly wide, could not find the breakthrough as Dortmund reached the final. Mbappe had a volley saved by goalkeeper Gregor Kobel, and only a superb sliding challenge from Hummels stopped Mbappe from finishing from Fabian Ruiz's pullback. Dortmund are aiming to become European champion for the second time in their history after they defeated Juventus 3-1 in the 1997 final. The final will be at Wembley on Saturday, 1st June 2024. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
7th seed Russian Andrei Rublev overcame illness and losing the first set to beat world number 35, Canada's Felix Auger, 4-6, 7-5, 7-5 for his first Madrid Open title. In the women's tennis, world number 1 Poland's Iga Swiatek saved 3 champions points to beat the world number 2 Belarusian Ariana at 7-5, 4-6, 7-6 and win her first Madrid Open title. Here are the details.
Andriy Rublev rallied to defeat Felix Auger-Aliassime in 3 sets and win the Madrid Open for the first time. The Russian world number 8 was under the weather with a fever coming into the final and looked out of sorts when he trailed 4-1 in the opening sets. But Rublev fought his way back into the match, striking at the end of both sets to get past the world number 35 and win his second Masters 1000 tournament. It was the 16th ATP title for Rublev and second of 2024 and at the Masters 1000 level. He battled past second seed Carlos Alcaraz in 3 sets in the quarterfinal before his straight set win over Fritz in the semi-final. In the women's tennis, a rematch of the 2023 final, the first meeting of the top 2 players in the world this season battled for more than 3 hours, the longest WTA final so far in 2024. The two pushed one another to the brink and featured some extraordinary power, brilliant shot making, and superb defense. Iga Swiatek had a breakdown early in the 3rd set but held her nerve down the stretch to gain revenge for defeat by Sabalenka in last year's final. Swiatek dug deep to save 2 match points in the 13th game of the 3rd set to stay in the match and then saved another in the tiebreaker on her way to victory. Swiatek had won 6 of her previous 9 matches against Sabalenka. It is the 22-year-old 20th career title and denies Sabalenka a 3rd crown in the Spanish capital. She is the youngest WTA player to achieve the milestone and the first female player born in this millennium to do so. Swiatek has now won 9 1000 level titles. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. And as always, here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.
Everywhere.